Welcome to the Innovation Conversation, a podcast about innovators, both in business and real life. Hosted by myself, Ricardo Pascual, and Harry McDonough. This podcast is also sponsored by ODEF Tech. ODEF Tech is your premier software development partner. Make sure you check them out at odev.tech. The podcast is also sponsored by Notion.so. Notion is offering 6 months for free for new users. Make sure you check out our website, thestartupevents.co.uk, to redeem this offer. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we are joined by Emilio Corchado. Emilio, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Pleasure to be with all of you.
Emilio, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Right, I'm the CEO and founder of StartupOle. This is an event that connects the ecosystem, and of course, I'm also a full professor of artificial intelligence at the University of Salamanca.
Very nice. Now, Emilio, how do you get started with these events? Because it is a bit crazy to run an event. So, how did the idea come up?
Well, the idea came many years ago. We are already in our 11th edition. The idea was, a bit unexpected, right? We were working a lot with the European Commission, and somehow we were more involved in the movement of startups. If you remember, 15 years ago, talking about startups was not a hot topic, and then we start to move and to talk with more people, and from there we consider appropriate to start to do networking and meeting more people at European level, and from there we start to connect the dots, and the idea came originally like promoting at University of Salamanca and connect the University of Salamanca, students, professors, spin-off, and so on to connect them more with the ecosystem. But somehow the idea got crazy in the sense that we were growing non-stop, and now we are, an international event.
So this is actually quite interesting, because you started from nothing, and now you're grown a lot internationally. What were the key lessons that you kind of took on board for the last 15 years? What did you learn that you want to share with the audience?
Well, many themes that, but as you are saying, it came along all these years, right? For instance, the first point that you need to have a clear roadmap that you need to follow. You need to be original. You need to do interesting things, especially in a city which is not really big. Salamanca is not Lisbon, is not Berlin, Madrid, right? And when you try to attract and be, international, you need to find where you are strong, and have a proper communication, right? So communication is really important. Also generate a great community and the added value that you are generating. And for us, is really clear. We are not the largest tech event, but we are leader in generating networking, bringing corporates. Now we are also, after our 6 years operating in Latin America and in Miami, in the United States, we are leaders in Iberoamerica. And this is the major lessons learned. You need a lot of passion. You need to have a great team is really important. And, working non-stop, talent, of course, and be unique.
This is fascinating, because we kind of do both the same thing, even though I'm just getting started compared to you. I guess the most interesting thing for me is when you go over and talk with people and you tell them about your vision and your idea, and you show how passionate you are about this. How do you manage to convince people? Because it's always hard, isn't it? Because you have an idea, and then for them to actually see the same idea you have it's a bit complicated. So how do you make that happen?
Well, I mentioned that a bit from the beginning, right? We are based in Salamanca, but we have been always thinking to operate in a global way. And we did it somehow from Brussels, working at European level, being the coordinator, in my case, of a European project called Welcome. We were connecting Madrid and Salamanca with Berlin, Dublin, and Milan. So you need somehow to operate at large scale and be able to convince a really key player. And at that point, we were really in a way lucky, as we were operating and working with European Commission, also with people like Ryanair Accelerator, Mind the Bridge, and other relevant players in Germany, in Italy, and many others. This was a way to show that we were a great community. Beta House, is a great leader in Europe, leading with co-working space and many other things. So having operating at international level, having great partners, and of course always generating a great outcome out of projects is the way that we slowly but smoothly were convincing people to join our community, and then those members start to talk with others and speak the word and help us to grow, because as you were saying, we were growing from scratch, right? Generating a community behind us. There is nobody, in the sense that we do not belong to a great company. We do not have great budgets, and every year are our sponsors, our supporters. So this is probably also our secret sauce, our secret recipe, where we are supported for many partners all over at international level.
And how, when you transitioned to Latin America and also Miami, how was that? Because that must have been a gigantic jump, no? I mean, crossing the Atlantic and also running a conference. How did that happen?
Well, as I said, we have been working very close with Latin America, and probably and if not, has to be known. Miami is becoming the capital of, let's say, the Ibero-American area on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, right? So if you want to do something big in the other side of Ibero-America, you need to be in Miami. This is a fact. And we were learning that after operating all these years. We have a lot of partners in Latin America, and now all those are also connected with Miami. So when we do something, when we organize our events, our actions in Miami, we are strongly supported by the Ibero-American community, because they are already operating or they go for our events. So this is, entering the US market is extremely complex. So you need your contacts and being reliable, right? So the first thing that I do when I go to Miami is to show a photo that they have with the Spanish king, and the president of Portugal, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa.
Do they recognize them? Do they know who they are?
Of course. I mean,
nice.
Ibero-America, Miami, if you speak Spanish or Portuñolo, you don't need to speak any other language in Miami. So everybody more or less recognize, of course, His Majesty, the King of Spain, and many others, of course, your president, the Portuguese president. So, this is really relevant also. Of course, how we convince people, because we have institutional support, a strong institutional support, and also because they like, in general, people like our idea. I mean, the ticket to get in our event for general attendees is for free. We are also trying to generate a platform who recognize talent and support talent regardless from where such talent is coming. And, we totally trust that such talent needs opportunities, especially at the beginning. And when they grow, we are sure that they will help us back.
I was wondering, all the companies that you meet from both Europe, Latin America, and obviously the US, what are the key differences? Do you notice like really massive differences between each other, or quite on the contrary, they kind of all operate at the same level?
Well, let's be clear, or at least this is what I think. Today the world is global. Everybody is talking with everybody. The point is the standards that they are using and all these type of things, the rules, the legislation, and all these type of things, right? I think it could be some differences, but when they are going, and more and more we are moving to an international commerce, people need to know the regulations. If you want to go to America or to Europe, even if you are from wherever country, Latin America, you need to know the legislation, the regulations. And imagine if we are talking about, you should be aware of, all the new law and all these things, data protection, all this stuff. And people move really fast, and people study in the best universities, even they are from wherever. And I think, we have unicorns all over in Brazil, in Chile, in everywhere, in Spain, in Europe, in Miami. And these people is mega ultra connected, right? So I think maybe the regulation and the way they do things, of course, having a startup or a scale up is also a cultural aspect. So it is easier to grow and to scale up in a place where there are a bigger cultural aspect, there are more investors and so on. But people with talent move really fast, and they are able to convince and to achieve their goals. So I see quite, many great startups and scale ups all over.
Do you think is there a country where it's easier to raise investment than another? For example, I know in Spain it's a bit complicated to launch a company because it costs like $6,000 to get started and founding the company, and then you start paying taxes straight from the beginning. So is there a specific geography they recommend? Or
well, to be honest, as I said, I mean, if there are more investors, corporate, and so on, mentors, there is a bigger ecosystem. This is really important. But I have to say that from StartupOle, we have kind of also leitmotiv that we like to support also those who are operating far away from the big hubs and big ecosystems, right? So we in Spanish we say España esperanzada, hopeful Spain, in the sense that we want to happen things in hubs far away from Madrid, Barcelona, Malaga, and Valencia, and the same in Europe. Everybody should have the very first opportunities, let's say at home, of course, later on to grow. We always said that go to the main hubs, main cities, and this is what we are promoting. But as I said, you don't need to move your teams anywhere. In case if you want to operate in United States, I guess we all know what to do and where to go, no? We, of course, are promoting Miami. We think, especially if you are from Iberoamerica, is the place to go. But we also know that if you want to have a place in United States, you need to have your postcode in Delaware. But this is the way to go. I don't know. I mean, maybe just to have your company, yes, but to build your ecosystem, I need to be honest that you need to grow it from the best networks. And this is, for example, what we are trying to do in StartupOle. As soon as a startup get connected with us, we try to connect them with a great pool of investors, corporate, media, universities, government. So from there, you can go, of course. Also, we are always saying, hey, grow your team, developing team at your city, at your town, because you are helping to generate jobs there. But if you want to work internationally, you need to go to the best connected hubs. Maybe we are talking about London, Miami, New York, Madrid, but one thing is the team developing, and the other is the business, the sales part. But also, again, Ricardo, we are having a video call. So, but again, it's also very important to have personal contact.
Connections, yeah.
And you can generate it in Salamanca, in StartupOle, but of course, when you go to places like Brussels or to Madrid or to Miami or to Lisbon, when you go to Web Summit, then this is also a next level, right? Where you can almost all the time meet people. And this is something really very important, to meet as many people as possible to do business. So go wherever there is a big.
I'm curious on one thing. So you were just telling me you met the King of Spain and also the President of Portugal. How were they? Were they nice and friendly? Or I know Marcelo is known for his crazy handshake and a lot of selfies.
Well, he's the man. He's the man. I mean, and of course, also for StartupOle was an incredible edition. Also, our visibility was great. And these two guys are incredible. I mean, as you know, Marcelo Rivero de Sousa is incredible. Just only with the strength that he shakes hands, the passion that he has is incredible. And of course, our king, we mentioned to him that we love to say that he's the El Rey Startupero, the startup king. He's supporting us a lot. From several editions, he's always the president of our executive committee. So he's supporting us. He has a deep knowledge about technology and startups and so on. So we are really proud to have a king such as the Philip VI, who is supporting the startup ecosystem in Spain non-stop.
Yeah, it must be exciting because, when you meet people from startups, they always come up with crazy ideas, but these are the crazy ideas that are going to make the world advance, isn't it? So the more startups you meet, the more exciting it is because something good's going to come out from it, which is, always cool, I guess.
Exactly. This is the case. So we love, disruptive ideas, disruptive projects from incredible startups and scale-ups. So as you are saying, we love to see technology from electric vehicles, drones, incredible biotech companies. So education also, EdTech is really important, sustainability, energy. So all these verticals supported by disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, and so on is the way to go. And this is what we every year gather here in Salamanca at StartupOle, because it's our largest tech event, but more and more in other places like Marbella, Miami, or Santiago de Chile this year.
I was wondering one thing, because your background is in AI. Do you think that nowadays every company needs to have an AI element? Because, for example, like all the companies I meet in London, they want to get investment. They say, "Oh, we're doing something AI." You start thinking, "Is it actually AI?" I mean, using ChatGPT is not really just you can't really say you're AI. So, what do you think about that?
Well, exactly. It's fashion, and when fashion comes, also startups knows that investor pay. Hey, they open the eye and the ears when they hear AI. Well, having a chatbot is not really, but of course, a chatbot in a proper startup may help a lot in the sense that automatization is really important. Even us in our website, we have a chatbot. It's called Emiliole. Has to be like that. But of course, you were saying investors, they want to know about how startups are implementing and using AI. If it's just a light layer, it is not relevant for them. So investors, corporates are more and more taking care of those, because let's be clear, AI is incredible, is generating knowledge in a very accurate way. Of course, we always, because there is a lot of controversy about AI, right?
Yeah.
And about blocking job generation and so on. So this is the evolution. People has to understand that AI is there as a technology to support and to generate benefits for the society, and startups willing to move further to grow is the way to go.
Do you think, I'm thinking about something else, in all your travels and all these ecosystems, do you think there's a big difference in the risk profile of investors? Let's say the risk profile of an investor in Spain compared with someone from Chile, for example, or from Miami. Are they more risk averse, less risk averse, or they actually all operate in the same, I guess, mindset?
I mean, everything is also related to the maturity of the ecosystem, right? If you have a mature ecosystem that went through many phases, then you find all type of investors, right? So what I try to say is that in a more mature ecosystem or hub, you have all type of investors. It is also not just the ecosystem; it's also related to the actual circumstances, to the situation, right? Also, I mean, there is quite actually there is some complex periods with some international wars, and all these things is making that, yeah, sure, there is a lot of money, but investors take longer to decide where the money goes. This is also important, and we are in that period, but there is a lot of money, but investors take longer to invest. And as I said, probably in less mature ecosystems, in general, the investors are less developed. But these days, as again, these investors, for instance, I go to Miami, and in Miami you have investors from Spain, Colombia, from Chile, and they are getting more and more international. And again, in Spain, you have people from Israel, from the United States. There is, and this is a matter of generating more and more agreements, more connections, and growing. This is a matter of evolution, I guess.
I'm curious about one thing. What were the biggest challenges you had to overcome when you're building this whole StartupOle? I mean, I'm sure there must have been some very dark moments. How did you pass them?
Indeed. Well, to organize 11 years ago an event in a city which is very, very well connected and is well known at university level. Salamanca also has been a European cultural city where restaurants and the city is incredible to visit and so on, but not about startups. Bringing international people to Salamanca is not an easy. It was not easy, right? I remember once I was in Lisbon attending Web Summit, and somebody approached me. He recognized me. He told me, "Hey, you are the guy from Salamanca, from StartupOle. Listen, I'm from Berlin. it's taking more time me to go to Japan than to Salamanca. Hello. So, well, but once we were able to make it happen, now people love the city and the way we do things, and Salamanca is the place to organize any type of conference, and now also the place to come for a startup event. So this was a major problem also to generate proper communication at local level, because people was like, hey, what are these guys doing here next door? And of course, the major one was COVID periods, where we have to postpone. I mean, we were meant to organize the event in March, and in March, April came COVID. That year, we postponed it to September because with summer and everything, we were all in the beach and so on. And suddenly in September, again, everything was blocked. And suddenly we were the very first event ever and anywhere that we have to jump into digital. So we move everything into digital in 2 weeks, where in the middle, I'm not going to explain, I'm not going to give you details, but we were totally dead bodies. Because, it was almost, we have to learn a lot how to get digital. Now everything goes digital. We can have a meeting here or in person. Everybody knows how to do it. But at that moment, we were investigating how to do it, getting into OBS systems, digital systems, getting the signal and the sound from a video call, being able to spread it. Well, it was a major technical problem, and also keep the confidence of all of our partners, investors, and so on. But I have to say that after all this, we were able to grow. We got more and more partners, and the confidence on us was growing also non-stop. And this is also a matter of confidence.
I'm curious on one thing, because you mentioned how hard it is to get Salamanca, or how hard it was to get to Salamanca. How did you manage to get people to overcome that barrier? Because we know there's direct flights to Madrid from most cities, but Salamanca is a little bit harder to get to. So how do you get people to overcome that hardship in their mind? Mostly in their mind, isn't it?
Because I think what was going on is that, let's be clear, we have a winner product. When people come to Salamanca, they get a lot of outcomes. We have mentioned that we are a networking event, and this is our main focus, that everybody gets in a natural way a lot of connections, and these become leads, and these become projects, investment, joint ventures, or whatsoever. So this is it. I mean, plus, of course, we generate a joint offer where doing business stream, but also enjoying meeting people in a friendly environment is, I think, the winner mix that we offer. Because Salamanca is really great, but also the way we do things, we are really focused on networking. We have several digital tools where somehow, regardless yes or yes, you get many connections, and also we attract, let's be clear, to a small city, a great amount of high quality representative of the ecosystem. So you will have for sure many opportunities to connect with top investors, corporate media, government, because these guys, I mean, I have to say something that in big events, sometimes people, the high profiles go to the event for a while, but then in the morning and they have to get back to the office in the afternoon. Okay, we were there one morning, we were doing it, but here in Salamanca, people come to stay 1 or 2 days, and days means also part of the night, because people go for a drink or for some tapas, and it's all in a really it happens in the downtown. So everybody is meeting to each other several times, either in the round tables, in the matchmaking events, and if not, in the cocktails. We are also putting a lot of budget in the cocktails. We generate cocktails, 5, 6 cocktails with concerts, with parties, where a startup investor, everybody is invited, not general attendees, but the rest. So we are also putting a lot of focus on networking and generating many opportunities to connect. And let's be clear, startups go to Salamanca to talk with all these guys.
Yeah, of
And
course.
also among investor and corporates, there is a lot of connection. And this is also what they mentioned to us, that they are coming because of it.
Emilio, so we have Salamanca Ole coming up. They'll be in October. After that, what we have next? Is it Miami or is it Santiago?
Well, we are working hard. Actually, in 1 week, this Saturday, I'm flying back to Miami. So the next event, big event, will be in Miami in March, at the beginning of the Miami Tech Week. So we are now conducting many meetings with partners. Also, we have been visiting many great venues. So we will be also making public the venue and so on, because now in Miami we go also for a fair with booth and incredible periods. Also, we are carrying on with our idea to celebrate StartupOle Beach Edition.
Okay, nice.
So as we did in June, at the end of June in Marbella, we hope to do it in Marbella again next year. And also now we are working with our friends and talking with several partners for working in Latin America, in the other side of the Atlantic. So probably we will be organizing 2 or 3 more events there in Latin America. But we still have to decide when and where.
It feels like you have a lot of really good things happening for you, which is just always good to know. Emilio, if people want to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Well, it is easy. If you get, first of all, if you want to talk with a StartupOle team, you get into a StartupOle website, which is startupole.eu. We feel also very European. That's why EU. And let's be clear, we were born based on European projects, right? So get in there. You have the contact. So hello startupole.eu is the way to contact us, the team. And of course, if you want to contact me, I think that you can find me LinkedIn through Emilio Corchado, StartupOle. I'm sure you will be able to find me there and send me a message. This is the best way. And probably you can find also my mobile phone number there and send me a WhatsApp, and probably sooner or after I will reply to you more or less fast, more or less the number of words will be less or long, based on how close I am with the events.
Sounds good. Emilio, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Ricardo, thank you very much. It is a pleasure for us. Thank you for speak the word about StartupOle, and of course,
Pleasure.
you are really welcome to StartupOle in Salamanca from the 8th to the 10th of October. Tickets could be also get free. You have different possibilities. So looking forward to meet you, Ricardo, and all your audience.
Thank you so much, Emilio.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Thank you to your audience. You are really great ecosystem player, so it was a real pleasure.
Thank you. The podcast is also sponsored by Notion.so. Notion is offering 6 months for free for new users. Make sure you check out our website, thestartupevents.co.uk, to redeem this offer. This podcast is also sponsored by startupnetworks.co.uk. Startup Networks, it's an online forum where you can find all the resources you need to run your startup, from grants to investors to tips and tricks on how to be successful in your startup. This podcast is also sponsored by ODEF Tech.
ODEV Tech is your premier software development partner. Make sure you check them out at odev.tech.